there's a learning aspect to it. Not always glamorous. Probably just have to have really thick skin.
Yep. No, I refuse to. I think it's in the same light as like we get to know our customers. Yeah, man, it is. I love that. I think that is the most important. Like, it's gotten glorified as this incredibly sexy role. And then you get...
Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Method and Madness of Product. Today, we are going to talk about what people don't tell you about product management. And I am joined by Steph again. Thanks for being here, Steph.
Thanks for having me.
So we're just going to share a few things that people don't typically talk about in product management. You know, product management can seem like the ultimate career for problem solvers and strategists, but there are some things that they don't tell you about this role. So the first thing it would be, it's not just about building new features. A significant part of product management involves maintaining and improving existing products. Product managers need to ensure that existing products continue to meet the customer's current needs and remain competitive in the market. This involves identifying areas for improvements, such as addressing bugs and usability issues, and making strategic updates to keep those products relevant. So, Steph, what's your thoughts on that first point?
I don't know. I think that's very spot on. It's very easy to fall into the trap of like enhance. Product managers fall in love with their products, and it's cheesy, but love the problem, love the users, right? And you get onto a place sometimes and you think like, ooh, I've got an interesting problem. I know what to do, right? I know what to do to solve it. I've got all these details. I've got all these features. Go. And it's hard to sometimes pick your head up and say like, okay, I've done enough. And there's another problem and I need to move on. And maybe I'm moving to a space that I don't love as much. But, I think in the same vein as that is like all the tech debt and all the bugs. Nobody loves doing it, but it's a part of the job. And, I assure you, if you don't address that piece, it gets worse and it slows down your ability to put out the fun stuff. So yeah, I think, it's always this mix of like where I am today. How can I make really big impact today? How can I plan, for something else coming down the pipeline? And then in the time where I carve out like, for tech debt or bugs, we kind of don't go over that. We cap it. And so there's a nice mix in there.
Yeah, and I think something that's actually not taught, like, well, I enjoy it. The one thing that I do enjoy about like the tech debt and the bugs and stuff is as you're going through it, it allows me to think about like, how didn't I think about this when I was solutioning, or when it was solutioned, if it wasn't me and, I came in to help out. How was this missed? So that when you're solutioning for future problems, it's actually there's a learning aspect to it so that you can improve upon, maybe it's your line of questioning, maybe it's your line of research, or maybe it's, did you even ask the right user set of the end users, right? The right questions. And maybe that's why these things kind of happen. So for me, there is a component about it that I think, if you look at it from that perspective and you keep that lens on, it can be kind of rewarding. But again, if you're doing it all day, every day, yes, it's definitely a grind.
Yeah, then something's gone wrong. I gotta say too, like I've had a bit of an epiphany on this in the past like week or two, is that I think that being able to predict tech debt is a skill that you learn, right? So I'm building this product from scratch right now, and we're going through like early stage wireframes and early decisions. And I'm finding that I'm now able to say like, this is the scrappy way of doing this, but I promise you we're going to do this in the future. And so then my tech lead and the eng team are like, okay, that's helpful because now we know how to write the code so that it's a more flexible, dynamic way, and that we don't have to go back and fully change it. So, that's been cool because I'm like, okay, I'm having a little impact on my future life and reducing potential tech debt. But I tell you, like early products I worked on, no, you don't think about that. You're like, just get it done. And that's okay, right? That's where you learn, and that's where you learn
Right.
like, I could have thought about this in a slightly different way, and then next time you improve.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then the second thing that isn't talked about enough is it requires a significant amount of collaboration and communication. I know we touch on it, but I mean, it really, like, I would probably say like 80% of our days is
Yeah.
collaboration and communication, right? So we're working with cross-functional teams. We're including engineering teams, tech leads, stakeholders, design, sometimes sales, sometimes marketing, sometimes even customer support. So product managers need to communicate effectively with these teams to ensure everyone is aligned on the product strategy and roadmap. And they also need to facilitate communication between the teams and resolve conflicts to ensure that the product is delivered on time and meets customer needs. And all I'm going to say is what I remember most about working with you. I remember like bringing like, hey, I can't wait to go and share this with the client or what have you. And you would say, well, who is your target audience? And I think that part right there, like that question is an important one that we should constantly be asking, because we can't always communicate, like that same communication doesn't always resonate with all those different groups that I mentioned. And I think that if nothing else in the communication collaborations piece, that right there is, I would say, is not talked about enough.
Oh my God, totally. Like the number of times where, I would be asked to prep a deck that can go to anyone. I'm like, no, I refuse to. I think it's in the same light as like we get to know our customers or our users so, so well. We know the messaging that resonates. We know all of that. Like we've got the skills to do it. Why wouldn't we do it with our, the people that we work most closely with? It's almost selling our skills short, and it's, if you assume everybody hears information in the same way or absorbs information in the same way, like we all know that's not true. So I think really understanding your stakeholders, building relationships, knowing how you need to communicate to them, and same with your team, right? Taking time for them. Building products can be chaotic, and a big piece of alignment and communication is also being a bit of a cheerleader and helping with morale across your team, across ancillary people as well. So yeah, I spend more time on the communication thing. Definitely, I think that 80% is spot on.
And then finally, we get to the it's not always glamorous. It really isn't, right? So as a product manager, it involves a lot of hardworking, long hours, dealing with uncertainty, right? Product managers need to be comfortable with ambiguity and willing to make tough decisions on the ambiguity. And they also need to be able to handle setbacks and learn from failures to continuously improve the product. While product management can be rewarding, it requires a significant amount of dedication, perseverance, and really to sum all that up, you probably just have to have really thick skin.
Yep. Yeah, man, it is. I love that. I think that is the most important. Like, it's gotten glorified as this incredibly sexy role. And then you get in it and you're like, everybody is blaming me for this going wrong. I'm trying my best here. Like, yeah, it just, when things go really well, you give credit to everybody else around you. And when things are just a dumpster fire, you get blamed. And so you need incredibly thick skin. You need to learn to be resilient, and you need to learn, like, okay, blame does no good. Let's solve forward. Let's keep moving and just, hammer that message home.
Well, now that you're a parent, you'll relate to this. It
Oh
really
gosh.
is. It really is a thankless job. Like
Yeah.
being a parent.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yep.
when everything's going, oh my goodness, your kid is so well behaved, but like let them run through the store like a tornado, and it's like, what did you do in your life?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
karma getting you.
Seriously. Doesn't help when your parents tell you that's karma too, right?
So it just hit me. I was like, that's the perfect analogy. It's like it's a thankless parent job, but like, I mean, what I would say. So I think the glamour part about it is the fact that there's a lot of subjectiveness, and you get to, for those that have like the creative spirit or entrepreneurial spirit, it really feels like you're a mini CEO, and you get like all of this kind of like all the things that you wish you had when you started your business, all the support of the organization and stuff, until bugs and things break, and then you're just like, I can't code. I can't
Yeah,
like
I
I
can't fix this.
I can't fix this. How is it my fault? Like, right? And then like after like, so that's where like the developing of the thick skin, just like understanding that like while everyone's pointing at you and making you feel like it's your fault, that's not really what they're saying. And you have to do a lot of decrypted like deciphering. Like really what's saying is like, you're probably the only one that understands this enough to get this fixed and back online as quickly as possible. So please, like, help us out, throw us a bone, like, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're first coming into this role as a new product manager or transitioning, I would say the pressure is unlike anything, especially your very first product launch, when you're creating that new thing or that new feature is going in, and it's that very first launch and you're about to flip it on to millions of customers, and it's like all eyes are on you.
Yeah.
How have you
Oh my
felt in that
gosh.
moment?
Ooh, like my pants are on fire. I think I've just adopted this mentality throughout my career of like what's going to happen is going to happen, right? Like I work really hard. I do what I can to I do my best and be aligned and make things go smoothly. Something always goes wrong and most things go right, and like, you know, the end of the day is the end of the day. I say that all the time. There's only so much you can do. Like it is not a glamorous job. It is often very messy, and it's there's no finish line. I think that's something that like nobody ever tells you, right? We're talking about that. Nobody ever tells you there's no finish line. There's no start and finish as if you were a project manager, because you release a feature and then you go back to your backlog that you're mid sprint and keep working on something that you already started. And it's very easy to burn out with that way of working. You're
Yes.
just constantly operating at 150. And so with that, like, I think it's important to not get too stressed out about things that you cannot control, and build relationships with people who can fix it, because they'll do it. You just, you call in a favor, and you got to build up some goodwill there. But yeah, you got to kind of watch your own, I guess, mental state and
Yes.
stress levels and burnout levels, and recognize, even if it's a small feature release, that's a success, that's a milestone. Celebrate that before you just blindly turn around and keep
Absolutely.
grinding.
Absolutely. No, 100% agree. Um, and build up a list of IOUs. So volunteer when other people are having problems, and you
Yeah,
get to the top of the list.
yeah, and
You get to
call
the
in those
top of the list
favors.
when you have problems. Like, you remember that time?
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. So, but in short, I would say in closing on this is like, my final thoughts would be is it's a great career path. It's a great, if you love solving problems, you're going to get thrown so many problems in this space that you'll never have enough hours in the day to solve. So if you're real big in problem solving, while it's not glamorous, while you're going to have some of those things, um, pop up that we discussed in this episode throughout your career, I would say it's very important that as you go through them, you build your playbook as a product manager on how you have resolved it in the past and learn from it. So like if it went well or if it didn't, how would I tweak it next time? So there's a reflection period, right? Just like you retro on your team and on the product. I like to do lots of retros. I know when we worked together, we did lots of retros all the
all
time.
the
Like
time.
after a big meeting, like, hey, give me some feedback on this. And, did I approach this right? So I think retroing yourself in those moments and creating your playbook so that the next time it becomes habit with how you're going to at least approach, those situations go a long way.
Yeah, I love that. There's just so much about the role as learning and failing and learning, or getting brutal feedback and learning. And like, I love a good retro. I think it's the place where people become most honest. It's a very safe space. And yeah, I love that. I think one other thing that, like, something you said had triggered, and it popped in my mind about on this topic. You had mentioned earlier about being the mini CEO, and I don't know. I just from my own experience, I think that has made it this a glamorous topic. Something else you just said had sort of brought that back in my mind. But I think part of what makes the role not so glamorous, and part of what makes it challenging, regardless of what level you are, from like new grad coming into it to like, now I'm head of product, I still find this is that everyone tells you you're the CEO, but you don't make decisions. Like, it's very rare that you are the decision maker, right? Maybe on sort of the small day to day, like, yes, let's build this feature, let's do it in this way. But it still requires a lot of alignment. But for like bigger decisions, you might have a client, you might have a boss, you might have a CEO, you might have, this and that and that, and everybody wants to give their opinion, and everybody, well, you have to assume positive intent, right? Or you go a little crazy. But I think it makes it hard when you feel like things are going wrong and you may or may not know the right solution, but you can't
Yeah.
really decide. And yeah, I think it's important going into this role to know expectations and understand, like, you do the best you can, and there's going to be moments of intense joy and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we solved this. We came together as a team and did it. And there's going to be
Yes.
moments of intense frustration. And then the end of the day is the end of the day, and you start the next day with a
Yes.
new outlook, and you keep moving forward. It's like, it's the only way to survive when you're in the product space, I think.
No, I 100% agree. And, I think you nailed it there. There's definitely a lot around like the decisions and you making the decisions or what decisions you can make. So I think that's part of the not so glamorous is that in actuality, like, there's a small set of things that we actually can make decisions on. The rest
Yeah.
of it is that communication, that stakeholder, making the recommendation, kind of like doing the work and giving the folks that can make the decision the options, will go a long way with you kind of being able to, lean in on the recommendation you think would solve something. But when it
Yeah.
comes down to the final say, on a lot of especially the big things, the big decisions, we don't have those. So we just, like in the title, we're kind of managing those. So
Yeah.
I think that's really important that you call that out.
Yeah.
And so,
But you know what makes it a lot easier? Ding, ding, ding. Alignment.
alignment. It keeps coming up. That little bug, that
Keeps
little
coming up.
buzzword. That's not so
Yeah. We'll
buzz.
have to have
It's a necessity.
no, it really is. But I think the more you do it, the more you build trust, and the more you can be like, here's my recommendation, which should be the decision. And, you kind of move forward. But yeah, it's all about alignment.
Absolutely. So with that being said, this was a great discussion. Steph, thanks for coming back. And I look forward to our next episode, when you join us for, another topic. And it's really been a joy having you back and just picking your brain. I've always loved picking your brain. So, look forward to the next discussion. Thank you, listeners, for joining. And until next time. Hope you enjoyed and learned as much as we did from this episode. If you haven't yet, follow us on all of our social media platforms for more awesome and insightful product leadership, discussions, and content. Check out the description for the links. Don't hesitate to message us with any comments, recommendations, or questions. Looking forward to our next discussion. Until next time.